All right, everyone. I guess you can hear me and can see the screen. If not, please let me know. So, welcome to our Boston Go Meetup, the last one for this year, December 1st, 2020. My name is Bjoern Poetzschke from the organizing team, and I'm joined with my co-organizer, Andy Haskell and Ross Handopoulos. And we hope that everyone had a great Thanksgiving and that you're now perfectly in Christmas mode now. As for every meetup, we would like to remind you that Boston Go and all other Go events in New England adopt the Go Code of Conduct. So please be respectful to your fellow gophers. Harassment is unacceptable at Boston Go. So if you witness or experience harassment here, please let organizers know in person or by email at bostongolang@gmail.com. So we can keep this meetup a fun, safe, inclusive group for everyone who codes in Go. Also, as part of our code of conduct, if you have been to one of our in-person meetups, which has been quite some time, the last one has been in the beginning of the year, you might have seen that we had the orange no photo stickers at the badge pickup. And so basically you could put them on your badge to indicate that you don't want to be photographed. Since we really can't give out stickers today, we ask everyone to speak up if they're, so we basically ask everyone who is speaking if they're cool with photos and live tweets, and our speaker tonight give us the green light on photos and live tweeting. But if any speaker does not say no photos, we ask you to respect that. Also, we have a lot of talented gophers in the room. So I would like to ask if anyone is hiring for jobs coding in Go, and if so, please unmute yourself and talk about the opportunity. If you have something to share, it would be good if you could also drop a comment in the comment section to your career page. So is there anyone who is hiring talented gophers? I would take this as an offer this time. Finally, also, if you want to be a Boston Go speaker, you're not far from giving a talk here. You can send in your talk proposal to papercode.io/BostonGolang, and all Go and speaking experiences are welcome on stage about any topic in Go. And in particular, we encourage newcomers to submit their talks to Boston Go and bring their perspective to the stage. If you're speaking for the first time, the organizing team is happy to help you practicing your talk. Just send us an email at bostongolang@gmail.com, and we can talk about your talk proposal and we can brainstorm about ideas. And also our next meetup will be on January 26, 2021. So if you have any interesting topic you want to share, feel free to submit your talk for that. Also, we want to share another great resource of speaking publicly. In January, there is the Global Diversity Call for Papers Day, and it's a virtual event this time. And basically, there are free workshops open to anyone who identifies as part of an underrepresented group in tech. And they teach about all aspects of speaking at tech events, like coming up with a talk, writing a proposal, and presenting it. If you identify as a part of an underrepresented group, and you can get your ticket at globaldiversitycfp.com. And so today we would like to welcome Chun Lin from Singapore with a 13-hour time difference. And Chun Lin is a tech meetup and conference co-organizer, and also he is speaker for the Singapore.NET developers community, and also for the Azure community in Singapore. In 2019, Chun Lin was officially accepted as a member in the .NET Foundation family. So welcome and good morning to Boston Go, Chun Lin, and I'll hand over the microphone to you now, and everyone else enjoy the talk.
Hi. Good evening over there. Hi. Good evening, everyone. So now it's I think it's 8 a.m. in the morning for me. So here, and it's very hot. So I have a fan over here to cool me down. So please let me know or shout out in the chat if the voice is not clear to you. I hope everything is okay. I assume it's okay. So yeah, if any problem, just let me know. Okay. Let me start the presentation. Can everyone see my screen? It's okay?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Hi everyone. So this is my topic today. So it covers a lot of key terms, but this is not a marketing pitch where I will sell you something. So don't worry. I'm just here to share about my personal project, which is involved in a Golang application. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so. Thank you very much. And below is my personal blogs as well. So my name is Chun Lin. So I'm the .NET Foundation members. So that's why I'm currently helping out in managing the two communities in Singapore, which is the .NET developers and Microsoft Azure. But don't get me wrong that I'm a Microsoft employee or I'm their MVP. I'm not. I'm neither of them. So I'm currently officially employed in one of the Singapore University's research centers. So in my work, I mostly deal with .NET and UWP, which is a Windows desktop application development. So the only chance that I get to learn other language and other framework is after work. So that's what I did for this kind of personal projects. And besides coding, I also like to do some drawing. So in case some of you refer to my Meetup avatar, that's drawn by me using Adobe Animate. And of course, I would love to meet new people and enjoy life like what I have today. So we are my friend Riza, who is also now currently working with me in the same research center. So he is previously working with Microsoft, and he started this .NET group in 2014, which is 6 years ago. And after that, I joined his team, and together we built up this local developers community. So throughout these 6 years, we are happy to meet different friends and developers across the world from US, UK, Eastern Europe, and Japan, Taiwan, Malaysia, and so on. So today, that's why I'm very happy to be able to join you all in Boston. So thank you very much for having me. And if you'd like to join our families to learn together, feel free to drop by our official YouTube channel, which is listed here, youtube.com/.net. So we normally don't talk just about .NET, but for example, Meta is from Google, UK. So he joined us to talk about GCP actually. So yeah, if you have anything related to either .NET or Azure, feel free to join us. For example, like how to use .NET together with Golang. That will be a very awesome topic. Anyway, so let's start with today's topic. Okay, I hope so far so good. Okay, so this is my personal project. The name is called the Lunar.music. So what is it about? If you know about Google Nest Hub, it's basically something much more simpler than that. So Google Nest Hub is actually a device that sits on your desk. Then you can do a lot of things with a touchscreen. You can like browse the internet, get the better information, and play music on Spotify. So I'm doing something like having because I have a Raspberry Pi here. I'm not sure the camera or not, but this is my Raspberry Pi. So play a music. Like just how Spotify on Google Nest Hub works. However, because my Raspberry Pi here, yeah, there's a photo here. My Raspberry Pi doesn't have a touchscreen, so I need to specially design another controller for it, which is on the web. So this is all what is about in this project. So if basically the sum up is just like a music player on the Raspberry Pi with a controller on the web. And I don't stream it from Spotify. Instead, I have all my MP3 stores in the OneDrive music folder and stream it from there. So these are the key differences. So basically, it looks it's something like this, but it looks like this. And it's a budgeted version. So today I will go through like all the text I have used and some of the challenges that I encountered. I will focus more on like the Golang application development because this is the Go Meetup. But I will try to cover like how I started for the Raspberry Pi, some of the Linux commands, and so on, and also RabbitMQ. Yeah. So the reason of me having this session is because in my first lecture back in university, my lecturer shared this quote in the first lecture. He said that he encouraged us to not just learn from the book, understand the theory, but implement it so that we can understand better. But to me, I would like to add one more to it is I share and I learn even more. And that's why I'm happy here to share what I've learned, and hopefully I can get some feedback from you all, which are I guess professional Go developers, and I can learn from you all. So this is not a teaching session, and I hope that together we can learn better. Okay, so far so good. So this is what I will be sharing today. So the entire system design of this personal project looks like this. Okay, so let's start with the left-hand side. We see the Raspberry Pi, the green color one. So the user doesn't interact with the Raspberry Pi directly. Instead, the user will control the Raspberry Pi through the web portal. So as you can see here, the user will visit the web through something called the Azure front door, which is you can consider it as a how do I say, load balancer. So next time, if I want to spin up the backend to host the web application, I can use only one endpoint for all of them. It will help me to balance out the load. And I have the static files for the website over here, like CSS, JavaScript, these normal things. And then the web portal will send the commands to the RabbitMQ server, which will then be forwarded to the RabbitMQ as to tell it which music is going to play. So this is how it works. But since our MP3 files are actually stored on personal OneDrive music folder, so we need to access the OneDrive through something called Microsoft Graph, and the user have to log in through the Azure AD to get the authentication token, everything, get the and download the music from there. So this is basically the whole workflow. I'm not sure whether this is the optimal one. So if you have a better way of doing it, like please let me know later, online or offline. Okay, so I will start with this first, this part, Raspberry Pi at RabbitMQ briefly. Then we will go into like the Go. So where do we apply the Go Lang? Is at the Raspberry Pi and the web portal, as well as the OneDrive client, as you can see here. Okay, so I will start from here, then talk about the rest later. Okay, so the first thing is music player. So far so good, right? I hope. Because I can't see the chat list now because it's in full screen. Please unmute yourself and shout if there's any problem. Okay, so the first thing is about installing Go on Raspberry Pi. I thought it's going to be easy until I run this command and I realized this doesn't always give us the latest version. So the point of time when I do this project is when I run this, I get is Go 1.12. If it was not wrong. But actually, in fact, if you go to the Go website now, it's currently Go is 1.15. So the best idea actually is using this link directly download from there and install it instead of relying on this command, because it doesn't always give you the latest version. So this is the first lesson I learned, but it's good enough for me to build a music player out of it. So to play a music on Raspberry Pi, the first thing that comes to my mind is whether I can use a VLC media player. Okay, so it turns out that they have this command line interface. It's called MVLC, and it's quite simple. Just put in the MVLC, the file name, and have this flag to tell it to exit after the music stops. Otherwise, you will stay in the interface, the player interface. So that's all. And the good thing about why I use Go here is because I can directly apply this command into the Go application with just one line, which is here, and run it. So using Go exec. So it's actually quite simple. And that's all we have done our music player. That's all. But what's next is that how do we communicate? Of course, we can build web API to sit on the Raspberry Pi and listen. But there's a blocking issue. So what do I mean by that is that when the music is playing, the Go application is actually stopping there to wait for the music to stop, and then it will continue. So if you use the REST API for this, so whoever call this API need to wait for the music to stop, then you will get the response back. So after that, I consult my senior, then we discuss about why not we use messaging. That's where the RabbitMQ comes in. So the reason of why we choose messaging is also because not just because of blocking, but also it actually decouple the services. So you fire and forget kind of that. So this in the pub sub model. So the publisher, once it's fired from the publisher, the subscriber will react on it, and the publisher doesn't need to worry about that. And there's no worry about reconnection and failover as well. And because RabbitMQ comes with a dashboard, it actually helps me a lot in terms of like debugging and monitoring the queue activities and so on. And the messages itself, I can view before it actually reach the subscriber. And it's very easy to set up RabbitMQ server on any of your server or virtual machine, even on Azure, because Azure, they come with Ubuntu 18.04 now. So you can install it and run it directly. And there's a link here. Later, I can share the slide with you, and you can record. It's actually quite just a few steps to set up, and you can get a nice RabbitMQ dashboard on your running on the web. Okay, so let me switch back to the. Okay, so this is the code. So I have 3 projects here, but the first 2 is one is for the Raspberry Pi, as you can see on the top, and one is for the web. So the web will act as the sender, as the publisher. So it will publish the message as a JSON. That's why here it has application/JSON. The reason why I have JSON here is also because this web will get the will read the HTTP request body as JSON. Then it can directly send this over to the Raspberry Pi. And then from the Raspberry Pi end, we just need to do this markup, and you can get all the details, and you can do whatever, like whether it's to play all the music which has been already downloaded, or just play one single MP3 file. So what is being sent over is that we have a list on the web browser. Maybe I can show over here, which is here. So this is the web portal. So it has a list of the music which are currently stored in my OneDrive folder. So when I click one of the button, it actually will trigger this send function in the web. You will send this. It will tell the Raspberry Pi what is the ID of the music file, what is the download URL, and what's the file name that it's supposed to save. So this one is very important because I struggle on this part a lot, because I thought that the download URL alone is sufficient, because when you use wget, you download directly, you get the file name. But because for OneDrive, they doesn't have the file name at the back of their URL, so they actually store it as a long string of the whole URL as the file name. So it gets corrupted and everything gets haywire. So that's why I need to have these three information, and then so that the Raspberry Pi can refer to it and download the file accordingly, and then save the file to the Raspberry Pi. So next time if the same music is chosen, instead of downloading directly from OneDrive, it will just directly pick up the file in the local. And that's why I need to do this, which is to store the music information in the data file, which is I call the playlist.dat. So it has a delimiter with this and two elements. The first is the ID of the file, and the next is the file name. So by using the ID, you can locate what is the local file name and play it. So let me go back. So this is basically how it works for the music player. So since now we have already set up the music player, we already can send the commands to the music player through RabbitMQ using AMQP. I forgot to mention about it. So RabbitMQ server actually accepts a few protocols, but if you follow their tutorial, the recommended one is still the AMQP. And this one I covered just now. So the next problem is how do we launch it? Of course, we can manually launch it, but better is that we can automate it so that whenever I log into the Raspberry Pi, it will automatically start the program, the Go application in the background. This is why the ampersand here. And the no hub actually is no hangups, which means no hang up. So it will pick up the hang up signal to make sure that when we exit from the shell of the Raspberry Pi, it won't kill off this process, and the music player can still run on in the background. So this is basically how it works. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so the entire code is actually available on my GitHub. So if you would like to read through the code and understand more and have a discussion, feel free to submit like issues or pull requests over there. Although the Hacktoberfest is over already, but we can look for next year Hacktoberfest and work on it and get free t-shirt again. So I also do some other random stuff, which you can refer to my blog over here. So it's I have a Go application to actually understand what is the command sent from the this thing, Microsoft Surface. You can see from my camera. So every time I turn, then the Go application can understand whether it's turn left, turn right, or there's a click on it. This is quite cool. This thing costs about 100 Singapore dollars, which I get from my SM senior. Okay. Okay, so that's all. We have covered this these two parts briefly. So now the next thing that we would like to look for is this part, which is the key point in our topic today. Okay, which is how do we host our Go web application. So as I said just now, because I'm going to build a music player, but I have no ways for me to control because I don't have a touchscreen. So the way that I chose now is to have a web portal so I can interact with it. And this is what I showed you just now, the front end of the web. It has a list, and all these are actually from the OneDrive. And in case you wonder where do I get the album thumbnail, it's actually also from the OneDrive. So by using the API, I can actually get the corresponding thumbnail accordingly to the name of the album. So when the user click on the red button for each of the music, it will tell the Raspberry Pi which file to download and which file to play. So the web framework that I chose is I don't know how you all pronounce it, but I pronounce it as Jin. Hopefully I don't pronounce it wrongly. Like there's a argument between whether it's GIF or GIF or yeah. So I do not know how should we pronounce this. Please let me know. So the reason I use this is because last year I have a talk with my friend Sean, which is NinjaVan CTO. So NinjaVan is currently quite a famous logistic company in Singapore. So you can check it out on YouTube where they talk about how they use Google Cloud and Go application. So they are using Jin as their web application framework, and he tell me like what is the benefit of using like the routes and HTML templates, and that's why I chose to use this. Okay, so a bit of background of this discussion with him is that because last year I actually started to learn Go, and the first personal project I did is to build a Go web application, and I didn't use any framework, so it took me quite a long while to actually just to set up and to have the router, everything to set up properly, to understand what is the multiplexer and everything. So he asked me, why do you go that route now? Although it helps me to understand more about Go, but it's actually not efficient. So he suggested this web framework for me, and that's why this year I tried it. And the hosting, okay, so we will be hosting on serverless, and the serverless solution that I chose is Microsoft Azure, and they have this thing called Function, okay, which is their serverless service. So why? There are a few reasons, but the reason that I had highlighted here is because of pricing. So last year when I host my Go web application on also Azure, but it's on their web application, they have this service called Azure Web App, which is basically behind the scene is still a VM. And I need to pay for the compute hour, hosting, everything. So it costs me about 70 plus USD per month. So I think that is too much for a personal project. Right? So I chose to switch over to Function this time. Why? Because as you can see here, now my entire project actually costs about 40 over USD. This is a screenshot I took last week. So it has a prediction of $40 I'm going to spend for November. And if you look at the breakdown, actually Function costs 0. Why? Because Function is charged by consumption base. So it's not charged by you put there for like 1 month, they charge for 1 month. No, they just see how long you have been running the function. If you run it for 1 second, they will charge you for just that 1 second. So if you don't have all these like with VM and front doors and storage, then basically it's almost free for you. I say almost because you still need to pay for the rest. So yeah, that's why the reason why I chose Azure Function and serverless is because of price. So if you have this, you run to this, like you want to try out something, but you don't want to spend too much money on it. Serverless computing can be one of the solutions you can look into it. But on Microsoft Azure, there's one problem is that among all the first-class programming languages they support, Go is not one of them. So that's also the reason why previously I can't use it. But now in March of this year, they actually launched this preview function, which is currently still in preview. So it's called the custom handlers. So by using this feature, we are now able to host our Go application directly on Azure Function. Because it's still in preview, so if you are looking for production, you may need to think twice about it. So how does it work? It's basically the custom handler is just like a lightweight HTTP server. So that's why we can host our Go application over here. And whenever there's a trigger, for example, HTTP trigger, which is triggered by user, for example, the user receives the function. Then the function host, which is the original function code, it will forward the HTTP request either through a modified payload or directly send the HTTP request to the server and get the response back. So it's sort of like acting as a proxy like that, but it's actually not a proxy or reverse proxy or anything. So, but it acts similar like that. You can think in that way. So you pass the request over to the web server, get a response back, and return to the user or whoever triggered it. So that's why we can have any programming language as long as our application can fit into as a web server. However, there are a few limitations. So the first one is I would like to highlight here is some of the components of the HTTP request, such as some of the headers, may not be supported. Okay, so that's why the redirection fails. So when I try redirection, because later part I will do the authentication, it just doesn't work because the HTTP, the location header in the response, they actually omit it. So it will cause an error 500 or something in the function, and you won't proceed. So if you read through my code later, you will find that how come I do the redirection in JavaScript in the front end instead of the backend? Yeah, it's the reason. But other than that, as long as our application is able to start within 60 seconds, we are good to go. Yeah, and Go is very fast, so there shouldn't be a huge problem. And in case you experience any cold start, just enable the always on by ping more. Okay, but so far I didn't encounter any of this. So far so good. Okay, so the next line is like the highlight is that .NET Core is still, if you can read this line on the Microsoft documentation, .NET Core is recommended for the stack of function. So what do they mean is that although we can host any like Go application here, but here is still recommended to run C# and .NET. Okay, this is a current limitation, but they are working on it to support the custom stack for it. However, for our case here, because as I said just now, there are two ways to forward the HTTP request to the web server. One is directly forward it, or you do something here, then you send the payload over there to there. So as long as you choose to forward directly the HTTP request, and you bypass this function host basically, then the C# and .NET shouldn't be a problem to you. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so I will talk about these three things. So what you can see here is the Azure portal, so-called the web portal of the Microsoft Azure. So this is the resource group for my project, the Lunar.music. So it has all the resources that I've been using in this project. So just now, this is the function app. So one function app can consist of multiple functions, which is this over here. There's currently only one, and it's triggered by HTTP. So what do I mean? What does it mean by HTTP trigger? Is that it's a trigger that launch when you visit the link. Okay, as simple as that, and the link can found over here, I think. Yeah, the get function URL. So basically, when I launch this website just now, actually it's the link pointing to this function. So as you can see here is a C# code, but you can ignore it because it basically we won't reach here. You will bypass this part. Why? Because I'm using the HTTP forwarding. So you will forward the HTTP request directly to our Go web application. Let me show over here. Here. So now what this page is about is they call it the advanced tools, which also called as the Kudu console. Kudu. So from here we can launch a command prompt. You can see the structure of the directory inside. Okay, so this is how we host our Go web application on Azure Function. So this is the output from the Go build. So you run Go build, then you can get this application. The reason why it's .exe because currently my function is hosted on Windows environment. But if you use Linux, it's workable as well. And templates are HTML templates, nothing much. And this one is the C# code, which is not needed, which is not run. It's needed, but it's just there, but it doesn't do much. Okay, so what interesting is this host.json. So when we enable this, like enable forwarding HTTP request, so this is where it tells the function host to directly forward the HTTP request to the Go application instead of processing by the C# first. And it will specify which executable to run. So this is where we have this path to here. Okay. So once we set up, our Go application will basically be visitable through the link already. So let's go back to the function again. So from here you can see the code flow of how it works. So the trigger will receive whenever the visitor visit a link, you will get trigger, then you will send your process function and do the output and so on. So just now, I said that the web application actually can be visited by link. Right? If you are worried about like can limit only certain people can visit the link, yes, you can do that. But by default, it's anonymous and open to public. But you can set it to like with keys and login and so on. Okay, but this is not the key point here. But if you just set up a application, a simple public web application, this shouldn't be your concern. But what should be the concern is these two things. Okay, first you need to select the HTTP method that you need, either get or post, and this thing. So if you go through my code on the web just now, when I set up the router, you will realize that I actually always have this API HTTP trigger. Why? Because for every URL that points to the Azure function, you always start with, you always have this /API segment, and then followed by the name of the Azure function, which is in this case a HTTP trigger, and then followed by anything that you can define. So this is only part that we can define after the function name. So this is how it works. So /nothing means the home page, so-called home page. And by default, if I'm not wrong, when you first started, it only has this HTTP trigger. So if you want it to accept more URL segment, you have to manually type it in and mark it as optional or compulsory, depends on your requirement. So here I only need 2 because in my project, at most I have 2 segments of it, of lookout or of callback, and that's all. So if you need 3, just continue to add more to it. So here actually, for those who look at this, we have found one problem. Because this actually means that you cannot have a dynamic folder structure. Actually, you still can. For example, in your CSS folder, you may have you may group your CSS file into multiple directories. You have children, grandchildren, and so on. Then you need to make sure that they always have this / corresponding to the depth of the directories. Otherwise, if you have 4 levels of the directories, but you only accept 2 parameters, it just won't work. And that's why this is actually not that friendly if you want to host your static files. For example, because sometimes our JavaScript file can have many folders, and folders have many folders, and so on and so forth. So it's not an optimal solution to actually host our static files over here. That's why just now in the in this part, I actually move all my static files into Azure Blob Storage, which is you can consider as a AWS S2 bucket or something. Yeah, it's to store all the files and they get their own URL, and our web will consume from there. And another good thing about having them outside of the function is that the Azure Blob Storage actually provides core support, and they also provide CDN. So actually speed up your static loading. Okay. So that's all. Oh, and finally, I'd like to touch on a bit about app setting. So just now, actually, I click on this. So as you can see here, like all my secrets that I use in the Go application are stored over here. For example, the connection string and so on. I can click here. So actually, it is a better way to scope. And instead of hard coding all your secrets in the code, Azure help you to manage over here. But this is not yet the most secure. The most secure way should be on the Azure keyboard, which I will cover next time. I haven't looked into that yet. Okay, so we now have our code on Azure Function, our Go web running on the Azure Function. But as I said just now, Azure Function actually supports both Windows and Linux. So don't worry, we need to fix ourselves to Windows. No, you still can use Linux. But there's a few limitations. For example, the CMD screen that I showed you just now is not yet available for Linux. And editing function directly in the portal itself also not yet supported. And another thing is that we can't run both Windows and Linux function in the same region, in the same resource group. So this is one of the things that you need to take note. If you want to go Linux, just go all the way to Linux. And for Linux, because there's no user interface GUI for you to interact with, but there's a Azure Function call to the command through the command line interface, we still can interact and upload the files. So still good. So if you want to go Linux, this is the way. And the link here actually is have a steps on how to do it. Okay. So basically it's like that. Now so far we have our music player running on the Raspberry Pi. We have our controller, which is web-based, running on Azure Functions. So now the last problem is how do we access our OneDrive music MP3? Okay, so the first thing we need to have is a client library to access OneDrive. If you go to GitHub and search, there are tons of OneDrive SDK, but the time when I search on it, most of them are outdated. Like the last commit is like 2017. So instead of using them, I decided to build it myself. By the way, if you do not know OneDrive, it's basically just like a Dropbox or Google Drive. It's a storage for us to use, but it's only free for 5 GB and then you need to pay. So I built a client library for OneDrive to access their REST API. And this actually inspired by one of the open source project from Google, which they call Go GitHub. It's actually access the GitHub API. So I used a similar concept and built this client library. So if you are interested, you can look at this and just import this to your code to use it. Because this one I built specially for my personal project, so the feature that's supported now is only limited to what I need for now. But you always feel free to contribute more to make it more robust. Thank you. And the reason why I like about OneDrive is that unlike Google Drive, right, when you upload, for example, music, the metadata of the music files are actually not visible on Google Drive. If I'm not wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. But on OneDrive, you can get all the details over here and can edit the description and name directly. So this is why in the whole of my personal project, you don't see any database connection, because all my database are either files or directly using the metadata API that is available on OneDrive. So all my infos are over there, like album, artist, and name. Actually, there are more, but I only use these three. But to access the Go OneDrive, the OneDrive library, we first need to, because it's a personal OneDrive account, so we first need to authenticate the user. And the way to do it is we will be using the auth2 library, okay, and access through the Microsoft Graph. Okay. So for those who are actually dealing with authorization, auth2 should be quite familiar to all of you. But what is Microsoft Graph? Okay, basically it's this guy. Okay. So why giraffe is here? Because if you look at the name giraffe, okay, graph giraffe. Okay. And this just I'm not sure whether it's a joke from Microsoft or not, but they actually did this in 3D, and this is my senior over here. Okay. So they have this 3D giraffe last year in Jakarta, Indonesia. So, but yeah, so what is Microsoft Graph? It's not just an animal, but it's a REST API, a set of REST API for developers to access Microsoft 365 services. For example, OneDrive, calendar, if I'm not wrong, also email and your contacts on OneDrive. So it's using the standard auth2 authorization framework, and that's why we can access it using an auth2 package. Okay, so why this actually excites me? So if you are also like me who are playing with OneDrive before, you know that actually OneDrive is originated from SkyDrive, this thing. So in 10 years ago, in 2010, when I was still a student in university, I have this personal project as well, but at that time I'm using C# to do a web desktop application. Then I found that, cool, I have a storage for myself, personal, on SkyDrive, but how do I access it? They didn't have any API at that time, and not even talking about SDK, nothing at all. So I have to hack around it, and you can read about how I hack it to actually get the file URL. Basically, it's like this: you drag and drop and get the URL. But the problem is that the URL is dynamic. Actually, until today, when you use OneDrive, the API, the URL that they return to you is not a static URL. It's a dynamic one. They will change from time to time. So we can't store the URL in a database, for example, and then refer to it later. No, it won't work. When you visit the same link again, it will just break. So this is how they protect their file. So that's why when you read through my web portal codes, you will find out that every time I need to send the file over to Raspberry Pi, I need to always get the latest URL from the OneDrive. So this is a problem. So the old days, there's no Microsoft Graph, so everything is so difficult and hackish. But in 2014, I managed to do it with the Live SDK. At the time, they call it Live SDK. It's still not yet that friendly to developers, but it's usable already. And I get a prize from Microsoft for doing that, which is the Nokia Lumia. I forgot the number already. And all these things are gone nowadays already. There's no more Windows 8 Metro app. There's no more Windows Phone. There's no all this gone. So yeah, can ignore this. This is just a history. So that's why today I'm very happy that they have this Microsoft Graph to allow us to access OneDrive easily, and not just OneDrive, but basically all your Microsoft 365 services online. So how does it work? Is that there are two ways. The way we choose for our Go application is actually the code flow. But if you are developing using React.js or Angular, then there's another way that you can do it. But if you are using, for example, like a backend like a Python or Go, then this is the way that you need to use. So we will get the first we need to get the authorization code from the endpoint, and then get the access token and refresh token. Then finally we will use the access token to access the OneDrive file. Okay, so the client that I built on GitHub actually is handle the last part, and the first two is handled by the normal OAuth2 package. Okay, so now we will look into the first two of how do we do it, how do we get the endpoint, and it's called the Microsoft Identity Platform. They have a lot of names. So unless you are working on some very old code, you should be safe, because I think previously they are working on Microsoft is using the 1.0 version, which they will retire it, I think, next year or 2022. So now we are moving all to 2.0, which is called the Microsoft Identity Platform Endpoint. So if you are using Go OAuth2 package, you are safe to go, because in 2017, I think it's in 2017, they already changed it accordingly, yeah. And they are using the 2.0 endpoints. So as long as you are using the official OAuth2 package, there should be no problem. And this one just for your information. Okay, but because of this, we need to have this thing over here. So how do we set up all these things? We still need to go back to Azure Portal. Also, let me do a quick demo, because this one is not really related to Golang, but actually it's related to every programming language, as long as you are dealing with authorization and Azure AD. Okay, so there are numerous of ways that we can use Azure AD for. So this one, for example, if your application need to log in a user, you can use it as well. You not necessarily need to access the OneDrive or Microsoft 365, but if you only want to use it for authorizing a user, authenticate a user, you can also use Azure AD to do so. So after you register your application, which is quite similar if you do it on Google Cloud as well. You just register your application, you put in the info, you get the client ID. Don't copy this because later I already did it. And add in the redirect URL and some other stuff, then you are good to go. So this is same as setting up the client for the OAuth tool on other platforms. So I would like to highlight one more thing is that in some of the companies, especially small size companies, how do they handle our login and password? So some of them actually they store our password as plain text in their database. This is actually not a good practice. And if you read through the news nowadays, there are some old industry they are still doing that, and they do not protect our password well. So there's always like a leak of password or emails and everything. So if you don't want to have this kind of problem happen to your application, just leave this kind of like a security problem to big guys like Microsoft or Google or any company to help you take care of this. And that's the reason why I chose to use Azure AD. Or you can use like identity server, whatever. Just don't handle it yourself because that's too risky. Unless you have a stronger security background. Otherwise, it's too risky to do that. So once we set up the client, and when we run our code, we will get to see this consent page, and we will tell that it will require our permission to access a OneDrive, for example. Then when you click yes, then we can access the page. Okay, so far so good. So now we can already access a OneDrive, but there's one last tool that I would like to share is this thing called the Microsoft Graph Explorer. Okay, it's the last thing that I would like to show here. Oops. How do I hide it? Okay, so in the Microsoft Graph Explorer, what you can do is actually test out your query instead of like always write your code to see what's the response. Here you can directly get to see all the information available through the Graph API. So there are a lot, not just OneDrive. For example, like I said just now, like your calendar, Teams, calendar, email, everything are all inside. Contacts are inside. So you can play around with it and see what kind of cool application you can come up with. And then you can get your access token here. So there's no need to build an application to test the access token. I'm not going to click this, otherwise you'll see my access token. Okay, so now I have a typo here, then it will tell me there's error. So if you can see over here, this is the error that it will return by the Microsoft Graph. And for those who notice that the first line over here, the code actually is empty. So it doesn't always return a meaningful label for their error message. I do not know why. So if you would like to handle the exception accordingly, you better have your own definition for the error code, because their one is just not reliable unless you directly send this to the user, which is not good. So you need to handle it yourself for now. Hope that they improve this next time. And so there's a Microsoft Graph Explorer. And in case you are wondering, is that the only problem? No, actually, if you access, once you get the token from the Microsoft Entity platform, it has another problem. And this is the token and everything that it returns. But if you look at it, it seems good. But the problem lies within here, the expires in. I think same as PayPal login. The expires in actually doesn't corresponding to the auth2 package. They're actually looking for expiry. So when we directly convert the return JSON into this struct, this will be empty and our refresh token will never be used. So at the, last year I always wonder why whenever I log in with Microsoft, I always get kicked out like after 1 hour. So it turns out that because this expires in doesn't corresponding to what they are looking for, so your refresh token can never be used, and this is a problem. And that's why in the auth we need to define our token JSON ourselves, so that we get the expires in and we convert it to the what is needed before passing it into the auth2. And yeah, this is the highlight. And so basically today I only cover what I use for this project. But if you would like to learn more about this Microsoft Identity platform, Christos, which is our friend from Seattle, he came to Singapore online last month to talk about this. So if you would like to find out more about it, like how it can help in your personal application or actually commercialized application as well, then you can find out more like how to use it. And there's a slide deck over here. Okay. And the last demo that I would like to show is actually the last thing that we haven't covered so far is the Azure front door, which is this guy. So basically it's just a load balancer, but it can do more than that. So if you look at it, this is the Azure front door URL. Why do I use this here is because if I don't use it, I have to type out the API/HTTP trigger and everything. And this one is I think it's Azure. This is the function URL, and it looks ugly because it has this thing. So it should help us the Azure front door help us to rewrite the URL to this. Yeah, okay. So it helps us to rewrite the URL help us to reroute, and it can actually do more than that. But due to the time limit, I think I will show a bit. I will only cover this today. Yeah, and if you are looking for session affinity, they have it also. And why can't we use Azure CDN? This is another mistake I made, is because if you read through my blog, actually I blog about like how to use Azure function to host a static website, but that is static website. You can use Azure CDN, but if you are doing dynamic application like that, it's better you use front door, because Azure CDN actually cache all your web pages, which is not good. But Azure front door doesn't do that. And finally, for my web, GitHub is over here, so you can look through it. And the real thing, okay, so let me do a quick demo. So as you can see from my camera, so I'm now holding a Raspberry Pi and connected to my speaker, which is standing down here through a wire. By the way, finding a USB device is not easy on Raspberry Pi. I've written down on how do I do that in my blog as well, but that's not the point. So because most of this music is for personal use and copyrighted, so I can't play them except for the music that is done by internet celebrity, and she gave the permission to play her song. So let's try. When I click on this, what will happen? So we'll say the request is successfully submitted, and the music is played. I hope you hear it. Okay. Okay, so I off it for now. Yeah. So this is how it works. Okay. Let's go back to the slide. So that's the last slide. So that's all for my presentation today. I hope you found it useful. Although building a personal music player is not what we did in our daily life or work, but what I would like to share is that even though the entire project is just for personal hobby, but I hope part of the, like for example, how to use Microsoft Graph, what the Explorer is about, like what is Azure AD, will help to bring some values to you as well as your team to apply it at your work or your personal learning. So if you would like to find out more, actually I did the blog about this Raspberry Pi project, lunar.music, available as the first post in my blog for now. And yeah, that's all. So you can find me in there. If you have any question or any comment and you are too shy to shout it out now, or you have no more time, we can always take it offline and discuss over there, either on GitHub or on my blog. Okay, so this one I will post my slide deck on the Meetup link. So you all can read through it and share with me your feedbacks and comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chun, for this very great talk. It was very nice to hear about all your experiences with all the Azure stuff. Yeah, I think we have time for questions. If everyone has questions, please feel free.
All right, I'll take a stab. Sorry, I need to put my phone down. Did you consider cross-compiling for the Raspberry Pi?
Oh, actually, yes, I'm looking for that. Okay.
While you were talking, I was looking up some settings and values. I've got a Raspberry Pi sitting right in front of me, and I'm about to embark on a project. So I was just curious what your experience was.
Yes, but may I know what is the benefit of using cross-compiling for Raspberry Pi?
Just performance. I've got some pretty high-powered machinery I can use to generate the binaries, and then just create a installable package if necessary.
Understand. Okay, I can do that now. Thank you.
We could call it impatience, maybe.
Maybe I can share how it looks like. Yeah, so this is the project which I didn't show clearly just now. So basically just very simple, just this. This one, nothing much. Oh, there's one point that I forgot to highlight. Forgot to mention. I like this a lot. This.
If you want to show something, we are not seeing your screen right now.
Oops, sorry. How do I share it? Technical problem at the last minute. I'm not sure how to do that in other languages. In C# we have to actually go to the process ID to check whether the instance is already launched or not. But in Go, actually we can just do this. I'm not sure whether this is the correct way, but if you can correct me if I do it wrongly. But actually I listen to a port. So once the program is started, and next time I log into a Raspberry Pi, the program will launch again, but you will reach here and say, oh, it's already running, and it will pick itself. So make sure only one music player is running in the background. Yeah, actually it surprised me a lot because it can be so simple without the need to root through the process ID and everything. Just now. Okay. Is there anything else? Hi, David. Actually, I have one question. Just now you mentioned about cross-compile. As you can see here, when I run the Go build, it generates me a .exe file. But actually, I didn't use this at all. What I do is that I will sync these updates to GitHub and then pull it down from the GitHub on Raspberry Pi, and then I compile over there. So it actually compile directly on the Linux platform. So does that help?
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, I've got plenty of instructions. I was just curious what your experience was.
I see.
I noticed in some of your code that when you were, I forget if it was marshalling or I think you were unmarshalling some JSON.
Yes.
I noticed you hadn't caught any errors, and then I realized that you had declared the structure just before you unmarshaled, and then you had a statement that was checking for specific values. And I'm starting to think now that maybe I'm over checking for errors in my own code. Was that just to keep the code straightforward, or because I think it actually works fine. You don't need to check for an error. It's structurally empty if it doesn't decode correctly.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking like that when I was doing this as well. The reason why I don't check is because basically is, if I'm not wrong, the part you mentioned is in the Raspberry Pi, where you unmarshal the JSON sent from the RabbitMQ.
Yeah, that's where it was.
But the problem is, okay, so I was thinking whether I need to check the error or not. Then I realized actually I'm the one who published the message. So as long as the upstream is correct, then do I need to check for error?
Yeah, it's not clear. I mean, I guess if there was an error, there would be no content and you would have nothing to act on.
Yeah,
so
correct.
If that's your only goal, is to only operate on things that are correctly marshaled, then I think the results are the same. Unless you wanted to log something.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, right. Like you only do these two things, right? And there's nothing much that.
I'm not picking on your code. I think there are cases where sometimes this works fine.
Yeah, it's good for discussion. Yeah, correct. So if it's not working, then I think all these things will not run at all.
Right. So you just wouldn't act on anything. That said, if you had a problem in your messages and you were marshalling incorrectly, you wouldn't know it. So for your own debugging, it might be a problem. But
correct.
Yeah, as you say, if you're generating the content, maybe it's fine.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun discovery.
Thank you. Actually, speaking of logging, we can do some logging as well. Previously, I did I think it's Golang logging. Okay. Yeah. This is what I tried last year. Actually, you can log all the things happening in Go.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, they have a telemetry client. And for the first time, Microsoft did something for Go. Thank goodness. So we can directly use it. Yeah.
Thank you. We've actually got some tasks at work to interact with Office 365, so this will come in handy.
Oh, cool.
Thank you much. I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
No problem. So, any other question from anyone? So basically, this she did a lot. This 2019. Yeah, if you can read, if you are interested, you also can find out more about on CI/CD. This is a thing that I do with web app last time, and it cost me about 70 USD. I start to get nearly broken in my bank account. This is really no joke. The Azure itself is not that cheap. That's why we need to find a way to host it in a economy way. But if you are interested, sorry?
I get away with this because I work for a company that builds computers. So I've always got labs full of hardware. I can build my Jenkins instance and make it do what I need to. So I'm cheating.
That's awesome. Hello, thanks for following. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Go. Hey, thank you, Lau. Yeah, thank you. So, I think it's quite late over there now. It's like 10 p.m. or 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m.
So, hey, thank you, Bjoern. So, if there's nothing else, I will hand over back to the host.
Yeah, thank you very much again. That was our only talk for today. So thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. You're always welcome. Yeah, that's it for today. The next meetup is on, let me quickly check, I guess it was January 26th. And yeah, if you feel free to take a look at the global diversity call for papers, and then say have a nice upcoming holidays, and thank you very much again.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas to all of you and Happy New Year.
Yeah, the same to you. It's still a few days left until then.
Okay, stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, you too. See you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Thank you.